Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and today I wanted to talk about a pretty serious topic. That's why you got the little face cam over here. No real gameplay behind it. I can't really get that disconnect between me and you right now. And it's also daytime right now, not my usual time to record, but I had a pretty emergency video that I wanted to make, and if my phone doesn't go off again, that would be very kind of it. Thank you very much. But today, the issue I wanted to talk about was scamming on YouTube. And a lot of big YouTubers right now, a lot of the YouTube marketplace is really scamming the viewer base right now, and I really need to talk about it to an extent. Now, we all know about the YouTube ad situation that's going on, right? I don't think anybody is immune to it, okay? If you've been getting right into the news, you've probably heard it a million fucking times at this point. The YouTube ad situation is not a permanent situation, all right? And I'm saying this from somebody who, works in the online web space, not YouTube primarily, but I know enough about advertisement. This whole thing has spilled out to the online video marketplace somewhat in general, right? A lot of people are scared to advertise in many places because they're afraid of what certain content will do to their brands. Now, recently, YouTube's issue with running ads on ISIS videos, even though if that's proven to necessarily to be the case or not, is a scary thing for a lot of big brands. No big brand wants to put their advertisement in a place potentially where terrorists could profit off of it, or, really messed up people. Not people with differing viewpoints, but terrorists and genuinely messed up individuals who are making content off really fucked up shit, right? And nobody wants to do that. And even if advertisers are taking the hit right now, because a lot of advertisers are taking a hit on their brands because they're not advertising on YouTube. It's stupid to not advertise on YouTube, simply due to the fact that this is the place where most people get their entertainment from nowadays. This is beating cable networks. So they're losing money right now too. Everyone's losing any kind of money. So the only way everybody makes money is if they pump ads into YouTube. So therefore their way or sell, and the whole cycle keeps on going. This is not a permanent situation. The YouTube ad boycott will be over in about a month and a half. Mark my words on that, okay? Just due to the fact that people got to sell their shit anyways. So the situation right now is currently temporary. But because of that, the situation has been escalated to a point where the viewers are really being taken advantage of. Now, I'm not here to put a blanket claim on every single channel out there. If you're a smaller YouTube channel, really small YouTube channel, 100,000 subscribers or less, or something like that. Not saying that's small, but you get what I mean, right? It's something that can be accepted on there. If you're grinding on this away, then I suppose so. All right. If you're an animator who's already the most fucked group of content creators on this website, by all means, get a Patreon, all that shit. I'm specifically talking about channels as large as this channel, or, even larger. 750,000 subscribers or more. That's a pretty fucking large channel. All right. As much as, you can be humble about it, it's a large channel. So a lot of channels, that are 1.5 million plus subscribers big, even more than that, are suddenly out of nowhere starting up donation streams, Patreons, or basically claiming to a lot of their viewers that they can't fucking make ends meet. And I'm not going to name specific YouTubers here because there's really no point. There's no point drawing attention to people who are already scamming in the first place, and frankly, that just starts unnecessary drama. That's not the whole point of the video. The reason I want to make this video is because at the end of the day, y'all are like family to me. And I know that comes off as cringy to a lot of people when they say it. But at the end of the day, YouTube and, this kind of video interaction is a new phenomenon where it's not like television. It's not like movies. It's not like music. It's not like a lot of places where there's a disconnect between the creator and the viewer, right? Because, when you're working in, say, television or film, there's a barrier. There's a barrier that you don't have to read. You got agencies, you got people in between. But with YouTube, there's simply a comment section. There's ways to private message your content creator. And almost every content creator sees that, whether it be PewDiePie or it be the smallest content creator ever, they're all going to read their comments. They're all going to read their private messages. And if my autofocus doesn't fuck itself in the ass, then it'll be fine. But a lot of people read their comments, okay? And that's one of the things that'll always keep us connected. So when you do this, say for example, in my case, where it's 4 years, a significant chunk of my young life, then it's going to get to you. And it's going to get to you in a positive way, I find, because you develop a family, you open up to a lot of people, you change. If you watch my older content versus the content nowadays, when I first started this out, I was a little reserved and shy, and I did things in a specific way. You know what I mean? Because I felt like that's maybe how you YouTube, but then I realized shortly after that, that's not how you do it. I gotta open myself up. I gotta open my horizons, be more of myself, than I put across at the moment. And that's why you have me right now. You know what I mean? You've got me, and because of that family connection, I find it also helped me grow personally. So it's, a two-way street between us. And I think it's the same with any kind of content creator. So when it comes time for me to see other larger YouTube channels sort of scam other people in the way of escalating the situation more so than it really is, it really pains me to see that they don't have that same level of connection, or it offends me to know that I'm on the same fucking web space as that fucking idiot who's, you know, doing this kind of bullshit. Now, of course, everyone's taking a pay cut, all right? I can't really go into AdSense earnings or details with you guys because that's not really something you can discuss, and frankly, there's no reason to discuss it. But what I can tell you is that it's not really as bad as it fucking seems for a lot of these channels. I'm primarily talking about a lot of gaming channels, vlogging channels, large channels in general that are already making money hand over fist. Ever since the situation kicked in, a lot of people have started up Patreons or donation streams, and they're escalating the situation worse than it is. Of course, the only exceptions are channels such as, you know, say Rob Dyke or something, where the production value of those channels, you know, has become a norm. And the only way to make those productions is to spend a little bit of money. So when you're spending more money than you're earning, then it becomes an issue. You're losing money per upload, right? But I'm not talking about that specifically. In my perspective, you know, a gaming channel, you know, somebody that plays fucking video games, right? You know, whatever. Or people that vlog where they just record their fucking lives and go on about their day, are complaining about the situation more so than it really is. Because at the end of the day, people are still making a fair chunk of change. You know what I mean? Even with the ads as boycotted as they are. Is it as pretty as a chunk of change as it was, say, a month and a half ago? Hell no. Of course not. It's definitely not that case. But then again, it comes down to the whole perspective of don't keep your eggs in one basket, and frankly, you should have a rainy day fund no matter who the fuck you are, all right? Because you never know when things are going to go down. You know, you have a little bit of rainy day fund, you know, you go use some of that, you know, pay off a bill or two, take a vacation, you know, fucking ignore this for a while if this is your job, and that's all you got to do in life. A lot of channels right now are using really cutthroat tactics to confuse their viewing audience, you know, specifically younger viewers. There's a channel out there, which I won't name, which subtly used suicide as a way to peddle t-shirts and their, you know, donations and whatnot. And that strikes me off, not just because suicide is a deeply personal thing for me, where it really hits home, but it's also a thing where, as an adult, you can sort of see past the veil. You know, you can see past the curtain. When you're a kid, you don't know any better. So little kids who have fucking, you know, little chunk of change that they have, pocket money, whatever the fuck you want to call it, end up giving it to these people who already make money hand over fist, even to this day past this boycott, where they're making a significant chunk of change, all because some people really just have a fuck ton of greed. And of course, I'm not going to name specific people, but this scam is going around, and I think anybody watching this video can list one or two people, and that's shocking to say, that are doing this kind of a practice. I'm not saying Patreons, I'm not saying PayPal donations, I'm not saying things like that are wrong. You know, everyone's situation is different. But people right now, especially larger channels, you know, channels of this size and larger, that are using this situation as a way to really make it seem that they can't pay their bills, they can't pay off a car, they can't do this. Well, frankly, if you can't pay off your car and you can't pay off your home or mortgage or whatever, you got to downsize your life then. You can't leave that burden onto the viewer themselves. Or if at worst, lie about it and take advantage of the viewer right there. Because at the end of the day, YouTube channels are a lot like brands in a way too. They are brands. And what you do affects your brand and surrounding brands too. You know, you start doing something scummy, it makes the rest of us look fucking scummy. You know, you want to talk about the Wall Street Journal fucking over somebody. What if the Wall Street Journal takes a cursory glance at YouTube right now and sees that at the end of the day, fucking 60% of the site has become a group of e-beggars? You know what I mean? Like, it's fucked up to say that, but that's what the situation has come across as. The ad situation is a bad situation, but it's not a permanent situation. It's going to be over soon. And I think right now you're going to notice a lot of people who tough it out are the ones that you should have been watching in the first place. And I'm not saying that as some sort of badge of honor to a lot of those people. It's just the reality of the situation. You know, when you do this for the right reasons, you push forward, right? When money becomes your sole factor, and that's not just YouTube, it's any job in life, then it becomes a grind and it becomes boring and it becomes dispassionate, and your work reflects that. And I think that's what happened to a lot of these channels, you know, because at the end of the day, the scamming is one thing, all right? The spillover fucking crap that's happening to other channels, the image that they're portraying right now is detrimental to all of us at the end of the day, right? And I know I'm going all over the place over here, but the issue is just that intense, right? The issue is just that big. At the end of the day, these channels can really do whatever the fuck they want, and at the end of the day, is there any negative consequence to this? No, there really isn't. Me making this video might just be pointless. Kids are going to give their money away to think fools part with their fucking money, right? The old saying is as true as it ever was. But I'm just gonna say this right now as somebody that cares about you. You know what I mean? Like, I really do care about you guys, more so than a lot of, because at the end of the day, I say that there's a family relationship, and that's very true, because when you have a family relationship, you end up caring about somebody more so than just anything. For me, it's not like I put on a camera, I speak into the, lens, and that's it. I'm putting myself out there, but at the end of the day, you, by commenting on this, are putting yourself out there. So it's a, relationship. And when you have a relationship like this, there's got to be some transparency. There's got to be a lot of transparency when it comes out to as deeply personal as this gets. And for a lot of people who are scamming their younger viewers, or scamming any viewer in general by saying that this is the end for them, or, they're going to die, they're going to kill themselves if this doesn't work. And, by saying that, please donate to the Patreon or buy a shirt or, PayPal donation. It's a really scummy fucking thing to do. And I feel like at this point in time, this month specifically, the scamming the telethons, all right, I guess you could say, have reached an all-time high. And I know we all know this, and I'm saying this as somebody who makes the content on this site too. It's not as bad as it really fucking seems for some of these channels that are really fucking pushing it out like it's a fleet or life or death situation for them. So be careful with who you donate the money to, and just be a little more cursory about what the fuck is going on this website. Again, do what you want to, but I personally find what's happening right now to be very, very scummy. So, take with that as you will. Maybe I'm just ranting like a fucking idiot, but at the end of the day, I do care, and I'm just going to give you the reality of the situation present. I can look at the earnings right now, and while it is different for everyone, you got to realize that within this sphere of content creators, it's generally the same, I guess you could say. So take my word for it. You know what I mean? Don't let them scam you. Don't let any deception go through. And if you see this going on, please stand up against this. You know what I mean? You don't have to share the video. I don't ask you to do that, but at least stand up against it like this. Because I think one thing I can agree with Fox A Keemstar on, for example, right? Which, once in a fucking blue moon that might happen. Is this practice comes across as bad, and that knowing the reality of the situation, you gotta let people know that they're being taken advantage of, just because it's a moral thing. It's a logical thing to do. But I'm gonna leave it on that. Let me know what you think about the situation in the comment section below. Let me know if the situation is going on. You can feel free to name whatever the fuck you want. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it. This is me, Mudahara, and I hope you have a great day. I gotta go record some fucking Club Penguin, so look forward to that. I'm out.